Hi there, I am Adam Kirbers, and this is my novel, The Supermarket Murder. I'm in the home of Mr. Jenkins. Murat told me that this home was owned by his parents, and Mr. Jenkins apparently came to Turkey to live in it. Maybe he wanted to take care of it, sell it, like I want to do with my parents' estate here in Ordu. I look around in the old home. It is evident that not much money was invested to renovate, to bring it at the new stand. I look at the doors. I look at the frames. I look at the painting. The house hasn't been maintained for a while. The color has worn off. Doors don't seem to close very properly. So what did Mr. Jenkins do here after all? Just live? Just pass by? It is not quite clear. I walk through the home and I see that the home was stripped naked. Nothing is in the home at all. No, only one or two chairs. On the floor there are scratch marks. People assumably have removed some furniture. There are some areas, places where the floor doesn't seem to have marks of sunshine, of cold. This happens when the floor is of woods, and if furniture or a carpet is on it or has been laid on it, that underneath or around the sides the floor takes up different shapes because the sun, the air, or the weather in general has an effect on furniture, no matter whether you consider it as a dead material after you cut off the tree. It still continues to work. And this happened with the floor. The floor has taken up different hues of, you can say, living. This is what happens with a home you live in. The doors, everything that is wood, some sort of, in a way or another, works in that sense. In summer heat, the heat dries the wood, forms it, and in winter, especially when you heat up the home, there is moisture which in a way or another gets stuck in the furniture or is being absorbed in the furniture, and this changing of dry effect or heat and moisture leads to the fact that wood works. This means that doors, especially if they are of massive wood, doors change their shape. They do not seem to close properly anymore. Cupboards, if they are of massive wood, they lose their shape. The original face was of the sun, and so on. These X-rays have an effect on it at all. So I pretty much assume this happened with the floor. Given the state of the home, assumably the furnitures were not really new, and yet they were taken away. This is indeed highly unusual. This is not very common in Turkey that people take away every stuff. Then I walk through the home again. I walk into the kitchen, and again there is only one cupboard left. It is an old cupboard, and I'm some sort of curious why this cupboard was left behind, because all the dishes, spoons, glasses, everything is missing. They did not even leave the desk. They did not even leave carpets, nothing but the cupboards they left behind. And I want to know why. So I scrutinize the cupboard. I pay close attention. And I then became aware that the cupboard is screwed on the wall. So you could not just take it and carry it away. So this meant that apparently the people who took away this stuff either did not have a screwdriver, the necessary tools, or they thought it's not worth it at all, do not bother. But assumably, when the kitchen cupboard was so old, it is most likely that all the other cupboards are older, or have been older, or even in a more dire stance. Because why? Because in the kitchen cupboard you use these cupboards quite often, especially if you wash your dishes, you wash your stuff, and so on. So this means the cupboard for preparing wood and so on is being used more often than, let's say, simple dresser or anything else. And because people prepare food, because people sometimes put their wet dishes into the cupboard, the kitchen cupboards mostly look worn off after a couple of years. And that is why people are more likely to change kitchen cupboards frequently. So you could say every 5 to 10 years at least people change their kitchen cupboards, and this mostly comes with changing the dishes, the services, the china, what have you. And this actually, and that it was not changed here in a way, firstly indicates that Mr. Jenkins probably lived alone. I'm not sure of it, but it appears that way, because the cupboard here in Mr. Jenkins' home is actually not that one off, despite the fact that it is old. We can see, or we get aware of the age of the cupboards about many things. The first thing is the surface. Back in the day, people did not know or used a different kind of covering the surfaces of furniture. This was rather a paste, so the surfaces of old furniture, they are rather thick, and if they are worn off, it looks like as if something has fallen off, like a painting. They are thick, they have a painting, they have a older format of screws, which are simpler screws. You cannot or struggle a little bit if you want to put them in with an electric screwdriver. And the third thing why you can detect old furniture if you are layman is their hinges. They have old hinges which you cannot in a way take out the door without unscrewing the entire hinges. This is old furniture. So given, and it is most likely that this furniture is probably a leftover of Mr. Jenkins' parents, or assumably. So I leave the kitchen. I go into the bedroom. And again, the bedroom is empty. There is not even a bed, not even a mattress, nothing. It was apparently carried out. I see on the floor shoe prints. They moved in. I can detect at least 4 to 5 different shoe prints. Assumably, these were the ones who carried the bed and everything away. There is no clothes left. There is no boards left. Nothing. The home was stripped naked. Again, I mean, who is in dire need of old furniture? I become curious. Who would do that? It just does not make sense, because again, you would have to think about the effort you would have to put into it. You have to, assumably, the bed was not very comfy, or was pretty much big. This meant that you have to unscrew it, have to take out the pieces, have to part it, separate the parts in order to be able to carry it outside. This is a lot of effort. This takes time. You cannot do this all by yourself. You need other people who have to help you in order to get all this furniture out. So this, assumably, in order to strip naked this entire home, 3 or 4 people probably worked arduously one day or one afternoon, half a day, assumably, to get all things out. And this only for old furniture. Furniture which you assumably could not brag about, because this is what people mostly do. This is very common here in Turkey, where it is common that people visit each other more frequently than it is common in the US or in Europe. This is firstly has to do with the fact that your social standing determines how much visitors you have. Wealthier people rather close their private homes, their living spaces for the public, and only open them for a few very close trusted friends. They rather give great diners, attend great diners in a special place, special area where visitors are being admitted. However, poor people are not that way. Poor people, or let's say people from the lower social standing, they rather eagerly invite people in their homes. They rather want to show off their furniture. Every peace then seems to enhance either their social standings. They can brag about the furniture they bought because they could afford it. They brag about a piece of clothes, especially if it is labeled, that they again can afford it. So with poor people or people from a lower stance, it is rather about, this is all about being able to afford expensive clothes, clothes. You wanna show everyone everything that you can gather. So, and that's why people are more likely to open up their private homes. Yet what would you need with old furniture? You cannot brag about them. Only if you would have, I don't know, a homeless person. Only homeless people who have nothing would probably envy someone who has something, even if it is old furniture. And the effort people made is pretty much questionable. It would have been cheaper to just go out and buy furniture. You can even buy very cheap furniture which has been made on an assembly line, which looks posh, or for some flashy furniture are and is very liked in Turkey. In Turkey, you mostly see people furnishing their homes like there would be some sort of a flashy royalty style, flashy, wealthy style, when people try to pretend that there would be filthy rich. Whereas in the US and in Europe, you have a more decent, a more secretive furniture style, where people do not want to show off. The furniture looks rather bare, looks rather that it would probably or foremost be of use. So the use of the furniture seems to be in the forefront. No flashiness, rather simple, but it looks with high quality. This is rather the furniture style in the US, and in Europe some sort of simple, it looks simple but with expensive materials, looks with high quality, and the use seems to be in the forefront. Of course, the use has to be immediately jump out, since in Europe as well as in the US, it is unheard of or unseen of that you brag about your health, that you brag about your wealth. This is not very liked. This has to do with Marxism, and that Marxism and socialism, which had a huge impact in the cultural sphere and in the thinking of people. So in a way, this means people rather will or think about their wealth as if something they should be embarrassed of. Marxism tells it to people. There is a lot of talk of exploitation. There is a lot of talk about injustice in the society, unjust distribution, and this is the reason why in the West, in Europe and the US, people rather cautiously are rather cautious with their furniture. They rather do not want to show their wealth. You want to rather appear as if someone, or as if you would be someone who puts the use of furniture first, and then and foremost, what is furniture used for? To put your dishes inside. You would not do something which is very common here in Turkey, that you would have some sort of furniture vitrine where you would expose and showcase expensive china. This is only common in Turkey. However, here in Mr. Jenkins' home, nothing was left. I look at the windows and I see that they are old-fashioned windows. I see that they are not quite or properly insulated. So this is the reason why it is cold here. You can pretty much feel that it is cold. There probably was a furnace. I see that there was a furnace here. It was taken away as well. However, I assume that the person who lived here, either if it was Mr. Jenkins or someone else, had to use a lot of material or in order to keep the rooms heated, because they are badly isolated. I walk out to the balcony. Turkish homes have a lot of or it is most common that Turkish homes have a balcony. This is a Mediterranean issue. This is something you would not really see in the US, because in the US crime rates are very high, and a balcony is an open invitation for any burglar. It makes things easier if you live in a storehouse, if you live in an apartment homes, and there are a lot of balconies. However, and I walk out at the balcony. The view is medium. I see all around the homes. This would mean that if something would happen or had happened here in Mr. Jenkins' home, people around saw it. This is undeniable. I even see some people trying to hide it, trying to conceal it, that they are watching me behind curtains on the balcony. They seemed to be not caring. They seemed to be that they would not care at all, but they are watching me. And then I look down. Because Mr. Jenkins' home is on the third floor, and I see a makeshift ladder hanging from the balcony. It has been put there to be able to climb through the balcony of the lower floor up in Mr. Jenkins' apartment. A makeshift ladder which you can hang on to the balcony rust and just climb the ladder up through the balcony. So people apparently came outside as well. So not only through the door, they came as well as through the balcony of the apartment down below. Now I wonder, these people, and they are, I am sure of it, had only one intention, and this was to rob Mr. Jenkins of all his possessions. Why did they not go through the door? Because I look at the door. The lock does not seem to be hampered with. Everything seems normal. And it is most likely that Mr. Jenkins probably had his own keys. He must have had the key to his apartment. But yet these people apparently did not wait or couldn't wait until the key arrived them. They could not wait. I don't know how much it took them to retrieve the key, or some of them to retrieve the key and rush to Mr. Jenkins' home. Probably, I assume that those workers in the supermarket took away Mr. Jenkins' key. But they did not immediately rush to Mr. Jenkins' home. They were probably afraid of it. They didn't want to make it obvious, or they were advised to wait and talk to the police, talk to me. But this meant that those people who stole Mr. Jenkins' key and his watch and probably his wallet, they did not entrust these things to someone else. They kept it. This is unusual in a criminal group, because normally in a criminal group more people work together. You need to trust these people in a way or another, or else things do not work out. Things immediately derail. The most effective criminal groups are organized crime, because everyone in the system of organized crime knows that either way that they have to work together, or else they are clipped, that they will be disposed of in a ditch. So everyone confides in it, and everyone keeps his mouth shut. So no one in the mafia can abscond with the loot they have. They would eventually find him or get to his family. That's why they are very effective. But here, this seems different. This criminal group here, they don't seem to be working well together. Some of them retrieved the key from Mr. Jenkins after he was shot in the supermarket, kept the keys in the hope they would probably do not have to share the loot with anyone else. And those other people with whom they either worked with or who just saw a chance could not wait for the key to arrive, and they took things in their own matter. So this could then mean that those people who came through the apartment down below, through the makeshift ladder into Mr. Jenkins' home, apartment, that they took away only stuff they could carry with their hands through the balcony. Maybe stuff of value, small things, small gadgets. and all others, those who later had the key, took away and carried away the furniture. But why? Because when there are two separate teams or a group which was not working together properly, and the ones who had the keys then appeared on the scene in Mr. Jenkins' apartment after all valuable objects were probably already carried away through the balcony. What use did it have to carry away the furniture as well? Because there wouldn't be anything worth it anymore. Probably if Mr. Jenkins had some porcelain or china leftovers from his parents, those who came through the balcony could have easily carried it away. So there was not much left behind anyways. But here, so why did they bother carrying furniture away? And I'm pondering, and while I'm pondering, a woman appears. I look at her. She has a close resemblance to Melis, the shop assistant I met at the supermarket, whose ID I still have on me, who was a member of the Leheb family, and she has a close resemblance to her. I'm pretty much sure that she is probably a part of this Leheb family as well. And I look at her, wait what she wants to tell me. She does not introduce herself. She looks worried. I look at her clothes in order to determine her social standing. Clothes tell a lot about people, especially if they fit or misfit. There you can determine whether someone borrowed expensive clothes from someone else in order to pretend that he or she is wealthy, in order to lull people in the belief that they would not need to steal something, or because they would have money enough. This is a common theme among crooked people, that they always want to appear expensive. Shoplifters, they mostly appear in flashy clothes, and they always look at expensive clothes. They look at nothing else but expensive clothes, and supermarket detectives can immediately sieve out those shoplifters, or probably shoplifters, because they appear suspicious because of their attire, because of their flashy attire, and that they still are greedy. And this is what you can see in your daily life as well. People mostly try to appear wealthy. They run around with bags of boutiques. Everyone can run around with a Versace shopping bag, or with a Dolce Gabbana shopping bag. This is very common among poor people, that they walk through the city, walk through the town have one smartphone or one expensive iPhone they show to everyone while they're walking past them, to show everyone that they would have money, or they have expensive watches, expensive clothes where you can see the label, so that then they can show it to everyone, so that they can feel good about themselves. And you can easily detect these people. So I wait for the woman to talk. Her clothes fit well. I see her shoes are not too big and are not too small, so that she doesn't humble while walking. She doesn't stumble while walking because her feet hurts. I see that her clothes are in a well proportion, bought for her body, assumably, and I assume that she probably owns her own clothes and did not borrow it from someone else. Her shoes and everything is in well proportion. The woman, she seems embarrassed. She looks around in the room. It is still Mr. Jenkins' bedroom. You can see on the floor that there stood a bed inside, that there stood a dresser here, and most certainly a oven which would keep the home warm. She looks around and her gaze rests on me. Are you police? This is a weak, and I for the first time hear her weak voice. She does not dare to eye me. Yes, I say, authoritatively, if you see that someone is already unsure, if you see that someone is already weak or feels uncomfortable, you are always well advised to assert your authority. And her question, are you police, seemed like a faint hope that I would respond no, so that she would not have to face the seriousness of this issue, the seriousness of homicide, because it is a homicide investigation, and in Turkey and elsewhere outside of Europe, you go away for a long time. Only Europe gives psychopaths a chance to lull people in false security. However, she is almost close to tears. She again does not dare to look at me. He was a rapist, you know. And she utters it in a way as if she tries to convince herself of it. Her eyes are filled with tears, with regret. This is not how people talk who have been raped, because victims who have been raped and whose rapists have been brought to justice, you can mostly see in their eyes vengeance or some sort of a relief. It is over now. I do not have to go over the same scene in my head that I've been abused over and over time, and everything seems to die with the person who committed the abuse. That's why many of them are relieved, or they feel just this has been served, vengeance. They feel, or they do not ask, or do not have to explain that the rapist was a bad person. They will rather walk toward you and will exclaim in a firm and steady voice that this person deserved to die. There is no wavering. There is no faint voice. There is no regret. Nothing. He deserved it. But this woman here, in Mr. Jenkins' home, she seems far away, sorrow, tearful, as if she would mourn someone. And I ask her, did you know him? Did you know Mr. Jenkins? She's shocked by this question, but she gathers and regains her composure. No, I did not know him at all. And again, she does not dare to look at me. From this, I gather that she knows something. She either knew Mr. Jenkins or she knew what happened. That this scheme, that she knows about what happened, what probably her relatives did, because it is very common knowledge that some of the Leheb family here in Urdu, that they are criminals, that they rob people. At least this is what people talk on these streets, that despite their royal status, that these are crooks and dishonest people. Everyone knows it. And it could be that she did not know Mr. Jenkins at all, but feels ashamed of her family. This happens a lot, because the Leheb family did never really develop some sort of an European aristocratic pathos, ethos. They never have developed an aristocratic ethos, how to conduct oneself, and that one is and that the behavior and the conduct of one family member reflects to all others, and that you bear your family name in honor and do not stain it. This Leheb family hasn't anything of that. They are having none of it. They assume that they are all above all others, and that they can do with everyone whatever they want. And I'm pondering, this is a crucial moment. The next question you ask her has to create trust, or at least has to appeal to her emotions, because she is already waning, she is already weak. Now you have to be cautious. You have to say something to draw her on your side, which could later be transformed in a confession, what she might know.